Welcome to our 6th episode of Aging Well in Wadsworth. This is Your Life. This is a show where we interview different old seniors in Wadsworth, and we're so excited to have a special guest today for our fireside chat right here in the Suprema Cafe. We have Roger Polk.
Yes,
welcome.
Well, thank you. My question for you, why on earth did you ask me? You've got all these people, whatever, so you must have been, like Jim Dole says, you were scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Well, you know what, Roger? Everyone has a story, and you're usually on the other side of the camera, so here's our chance to get to hear about you, which
Right.
a lot of people haven't gotten to. So let's start at the basics. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Okay, do you want the 5-second version real quick, or do you want the 4-minute version, which is a story that you've never heard before?
You know what? This is your show about you, so you decide. Let's
Okay.
go with a new story.
All right, remember, she asked for this. My mom and dad were both from Wadsworth, so they graduated in the 50s sometime or whatever. And my dad ended up going into the Naval Reserve in the Seabees. My mom was a dental tech for Dr. Wursler here. About that time, if you remember in history, Admiral Byrd was exploring in the South Pole. They were trying to get to the actual South Pole. So they'd made this huge, one-of-a-kind machine in Chicago. They had to get it to Boston. So the only way to get it, it's 40 tons. It's 58 feet long, it's 14 feet high, and it's way wide. They're going to drive it. Well, guess what's right in between Chicago and Boston is Wadsworth. Now, originally it wasn't going to come that way, and here's my mom gave me permission, and I got some of these pictures. This is a 1960 promotional ad.
Wow.
Okay, for this thing. Are you aware of this? Did you know about this?
I did not. This
okay,
is
it's in the
interesting.
Wadsworth book.
Okay.
Okay, it's in the Wadsworth book. So there it is. It's got a plane on top. It can hold a plane on top. It's a huge, huge thing. So in the Wadsworth book, if you don't have one of these, they're only $10, but they're very, very rare to get anymore. This is it right here on page 87. Look at this.
Wow.
Coming through, there's another
Okay.
4 picture on page 14. but
I did read about this.
Isn't that
yes,
fascinating?
That's fascinating.
All right, now, the reason it came through Wadsworth, not too far west of here, it struck a bridge. It went into the creek, creek, whatever. They were stuck. I mean, it busted stuff, and my dad and his 2 buddies coming back from some naval Great Lakes base happened upon it right as it was happening.
Wow.
Jumped out, went to help. The very slim crew that was with this didn't know what they were going to do. My dad is just a genius when it comes to engines and motors, and my brother picked that up, not me. Jumped right in there, helped them, got stuff, went down to a couple of local stores, piece-parted stuff together and jerry-rigged it, got this thing back up and running, and they were just standing back, had no idea. This is all the story that I hear. So they got it up out of there, and let me show you something on this. This is an actual thing from the newspaper. Now, this is all getting to me, okay? This one here, you see the guy up on the tire? Can you see the guy up on the tire there? That's my dad.
My goodness.
Okay?
Wow.
Navy Seabee. So Admiral Byrd says, because he's an admiral, my dad is technically in the Navy, Navy Seabees, he says, I want you on my team. My dad says, sir, I can't. He goes, son, you can. Sir, I can't. I've just been married for 6, 7, 8 months, and my wife, he's like, well, what does your wife do? He said, she'll be okay. He says, well, she's a dental tech. And he said, Admiral Byrd's eyes lit up and says, we're looking for a dentist for our team. Would your wife be? No way. He said, we're not going through Cleveland. We're going to go down through Wadsworth, pick these 2 up, take them to Boston, get on the ship, and go down. Wow, that was crazy. So we're down at the South Pole. Well, I'm not there yet. There's a picture. I was born in 61.
Okay.
Here's a picture, 1961, okay, and there is 4 of the people there. You have Captain Long, my dad, my mom, and Captain Johns that are down there.
Wow.
The warm day is 50 below. Well, they don't have, instant pregnancy test back then. You had to actually kill a rabbit. So not until about the 4th month did my mom realize she is pregnant. So they said, well, as long as you're good, you're good. I mean, we'll get a plane in. She goes, no, I'm good. So they were there.
So they're in the South Pole.
So they're in the south, heading to the South Pole. Yeah, the whole equipment thing, that truck, that was a bust. It went 94 miles in reverse. That's the longest it ever went. Okay, so they eventually had to come. The war, they had to come back. Admiral Byrd had to come back, and so they had 3 little villages, America 1, 2, and 3, that they had set up down in there. So my mom is pregnant, and she has me in the Antarctic cruiser. I was born inside the Antarctic cruiser.
What?
Down there. Because they couldn't get a
Wow.
plane in for like 45 days because of the temperature and the wind. Nothing would.
Wow.
So they finally, so I was about a month and a half old when they got plane, and they evacuated everybody out of there, and they flew straight back up to, I think it was Walter Reed.
Wow.
So while they're there, my mom is in the ladies section, because there's some ladies there. And at Walter Reed, when they get there, my mom's there, my dad is there, and JFK is there presenting Purple Hearts or whatever to some of the soldiers. And he happens to look over, and he said, what's that over there? And they said, well, that's the ladies' ward. We have a lady in there with her baby. And, well, why do I have? And then they explained this story to him, and he was like, no way. And so JFK and his wife came over, and they were talking to my mom.
Wow.
And one of the nurses had a paper, and she said, excuse me, Mr. President, maybe you can help me. She said, they just instituted Social Security numbers. And Social Security numbers, the first 3 digits tells you what state you were born in. Mm-hmm. So it starts with 001 if you're way northeast New England, and then goes, well, we're in the 200s here in Ohio. She says, we're having a problem getting a Social Security number for this baby. He says, why? I said, well, the baby was born on the very near the South Pole. He said, what's the problem? He says, well, 001 is up here. We don't have a number for something. And he happened to look on the thing, and it said the latitude, longitude of where I was born. He said, then just go 000. They said, well, there's no such thing, sir. He says, there is now. And so
No way.
my birth certificate has John F. Kennedy's signature on it, and my Social Security number, I crossed out that. My first 3 digits are 000. And I don't know if anybody's ever had 000 since then.
Wow.
But yeah, so.
That is the most amazing birth story I've ever heard. And that just, for you to start your life that way, I can't wait to hear the rest of the story. So you met the president as a baby.
Yeah, but you gave me permission to tell that story. The 5-second version is just like Don Bolek. I was born at the Wadsworth Hospital, right, 1961, right down the street from here. But wasn't that a great story?
So where were you born?
Wadsworth Hospital, just like Don Bolek.
Okay.
Then my parents lived in Rittman. Dad was in the Navy Seabees. Mom was, and that's about everything from that story that we can really take as gospel. So yes, from Rittman,
Okay.
all 4 of us kids, I just knocked the wind out of her. I am so sorry. She's having so. Jim Dahl bet me $20 I would not tell that story. So I just made $20. I promise I will buy 2 more of the basket raffle tickets with that $20 I just won. So anyhow, born in Rittman, 1961, grew up, me and my older brother Ted, who's also a member here, my 2 younger sisters, Joy and Jan, born in 64. Now everybody knows how old Jan is. I think Jan's a member here.
Yes.
Joy is, she lives up northwest of us here in Ohio somewhere. My sister, she's something else. So graduated in 79 from Rittman High School. My wife, Lori Kilo, she's my high school sweetheart. That's where we met.
Oh, I didn't realize you were high school
Oh, we
sweethearts.
were high school sweethearts. My
That's
wife,
awesome.
who's also a member here. So I traveled around the country for a little while, came back, we got married. We had Brianne, we got married in 83, right here in Wadsworth, Church of the Nazarene, just like Don Bolek. I'm a lot like Don Bolek. That was scary watching Don's interview. So then we had Brianne, our oldest daughter, in 1985. Plant shut down where she and I were both working in Barberton. Long story short, let's keep it short, Roger. I joined the Marine Corps in '85. We moved down to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. In '89, we had our oldest son, Alex. He was born, does have a different social security number. He was born at Camp Lejeune Naval Hospital. And then when I went overseas, I was stationed overseas during the first Gulf War. I was at Okinawa, Japan, did a couple tours down in the Philippines. I was there when Mount Pinatubo erupted.
Wow.
I've been in a volcano.
Thank you for your service.
It was my honor. It was my honor to do it. So I was in for a little over 6 years, came back, lived with her parents for a while. We started a paintball business, bought some property and expanded on it out in Wadsworth, because I grew up in the greatest place in Richmond with a huge, just backyards, woods, hundreds of acres of woods. You know, it felt like it as a kid. It looks a lot smaller now. It was a great childhood. I was so blessed. But we moved to Wadsworth. We had 2 more kids. We had Connor, who is a U.S. Marine now also. We had Dana, and then we stopped with the 4 kids. So yeah, that's what we did here. So Brianne is now, she's a teacher here in Wadsworth. My son's a private investigator. He's out of Worcester. Connor's a Marine, currently stationed down at Ohio State University. And Dana is a dental tech working at the dental lab and just got promoted yesterday, to however that whole hierarchy goes. And it's a great place. Oh my gosh, that's how I intersected with Wadsworth. Yes. We moved here. About a year and a half after getting out of the Marine Corps, I got hired by the post office. So 28 and a half years in the post office, and my little over 6 years military time. I retired about 5.5 years ago. And let me just stop right there so Lori can ask me another question. Sorry.
Well, so which post office were you? Were you at Wadsworth?
I was at the Akron, Maine.
Oh,
I never
okay.
delivered mail. There's so much behind the scenes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's got to be not even 1% of the postal employees are the ones that come to your door and deliver. It's all behind the scenes stuff. I loaded and unloaded trucks for, and then inside just kind of sorted mail. That's all I ever did. But that was, worked a lot of overtime, about 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week for almost 28 and a half years. And but it was a good time. Had a lot of fun. In '04, Ohio passed their concealed carry law. And of course, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was military police. So when I went down my 2 tours in the Philippines, I immediately opened up a pistol range down there because they didn't have a sufficient range for the guys that I took with me, I was in charge of. And we had to qualify, once a month. And I opened it up to anybody on the island. And I was amazed. We qualified thousands of people in the military down there, and I loved that. I had a passion for that. They could go, they were shooting government guns and government ammo, and they could go, if they didn't like their score, they could go to the back of the line, they could go through the class again and shoot. You always shoot better. You always shoot better. And then, they would get ribbons and stars in the Navy and the Army and the Air Force and stuff for that. So I loved it. And when Ohio passed their concealed carry law, I immediately became an NRA instructor and range safety officer. And then through the years, my crew, my buddies and I, they were my coaches, we ended up through the years certifying a little over 45,000 people.
Wow.
Here in the area.
And you're currently doing that?
I still currently do that. We have constitutional carry, so a lot of that has dropped off the cliff. But yes, there's still a big demand. I still get calls, which kind of interrupts my schedule a lot of times, from the judges, the courts, the prosecuting attorney's office, people that are in a situation where they want to be able to defend themselves. They don't know how. They need to do it immediately because of a situation that came up. So they call me and I get them right over and I teach them everything. Just take the time, 2 hours state minimum. Sometimes they're there 6 hours. And we just go through and they learn until they get comfortable enough where then they can go through the actual classroom session. So I still do that a lot, yes.
That's awesome. So even though you're retired, I know you are extremely busy. So you have your, side career going on. And how else are you involved? I know you're very active in the Wadsworth community. And of course, we've learned how your life intersected with Wadsworth, with your parents growing up here. So you have a huge history here. How are you involved in the community, and how do the things that you're involved in, what do you think is your advice for aging well?
Well, I think a lot of it's attitude. Stay stay busy, stay as busy as you want to be. If you're not as busy as you want to be, then you're not trying very hard to be busy. Because look at us. Look at us here in Wadsworth, right? Look at a book that comes out every 3 months, and it's got pages and pages and pages, and there's like a dozen things on each page. If you can't find something, you're not trying hard enough. I love coming here. I got involved with WCTV real quick because we were playing paintball, and the guys, back then we didn't have camera phones or anything, and the guys were like, man, I wish we could just video this. I said, well, I found out about WCTV, I borrowed the equipment and videoed, and then for 20 years we had the Ultimate Game Paintball show that was on. I quit doing it when COVID hit because I'm not a big fan of the whole, you couldn't come to the studio anymore.
Sure.
So everything had to be done on your phone or something in your house, and it just doesn't. And it was time. We were done playing paintball for several years. Then anyhow, we were using old footage and just talking to people. With WCTV, then I got more and more involved. Joanna got me involved in this. Joanna comes up a lot here. She snookered me into doing this and that. But it was so much fun. I loved it. In Rittman, we had a TV movie production class that Mr. Johnson taught, and I loved it. I got A+s in it. So I got involved with that, and then just other different shows. And if she needed me to do something here, I'd go here and go there. I wasn't an employee, just a volunteer. There's only 4 employees over there, but they've got 100 volunteers. A lot like how it happens here. There's only 3 of you guys, but look what you accomplish because of your 100 volunteers you've got that do everything.
So true.
It's crazy. So get involved. I'm blessed. I was raised in the Church of the Nazarene, like Don Bolick, and I've just been so blessed with my children, my grandchildren, and my wife, the glue that holds everything together. Unbelievable. So I've always had a positive outlook on that. I don't dwell on the negative because you can't do anything about it. Don't dwell on it. The biggest secret to aging well is get rid of the stress in your life. Get rid of the stress, and we create our own stress, I believe. So you want to create some stress? Let's talk politics. No, let's not. Let's not.
Absolutely.
No, that's horrible. Nobody's ever going to change my mind on what I think and how, and I would never dream of trying to change anybody else's mind. So let's focus on the stuff that we enjoy doing together, the things that we agree on, and let's have fun doing that. Why would I ever want to create stress in my life? No way. That's like breaking both legs. Oh, they don't need any stress. So I put my trust in the Lord. Doing good.
That's awesome. That is great advice. And I have to say, you are an extremely positive person. We love having you here. You're here. Who are you representing on some select Fridays? I know you've gotten involved with WCTV, and they just expanded with a foundation.
Oh yes, the WCTV Foundation. I have to thank you guys for that, because in between your food vendors, you guys asked if, and when I say you guys, the Suprema Senior Center, the three queens, asked if the WCTV Foundation would be interested in coming over and doing something. So thank you to Ann's Pastries. We go down there and we pick up 3 dozen or so different types of pastries. We come up here, we got several different coffees, and we sell that to everybody. And then our new food vendors came in, thank you very much, but still they have to go to work days like once every 2 months.
Yes.
So you've asked if we can just come fill in that one day, that one morning for a few hours so that we have coffee and pastries or something here during bingo.
Sure.
Yeah, so thank you for that. But the WCTV Foundation, and it's to raise money for supplemental support for WCTV because they just, you know how it is, you don't get enough money from the city for everything you want to do.
Sure.
So here at the Suprema Senior Center, we have the Christmas basket raffle. So I always try to buy a bunch of tickets. I wanted to say buttload, but I don't want to do that. Say I buy a bunch of tickets, and so we also have a fundraiser over at WCTV to help, raise supplemental funds. It's been so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I get out there, and I like being set up right beside Jim Dole and Rich, and they come down, we'll sell tickets, and Joanna was like, oh, that's probably not a good idea to be side. I said, it's the greatest idea to be side by side. I said, when someone comes to my table, they buy a ticket, I immediately send them over to Jim Dole's table and they buy a ticket. Almost without fail.
Sure, and vice versa.
And vice versa, Jim sends them right over to me, and at the end of the day, we go, how many tickets did you sell, And he always sells more than me, but
Sure.
he has a bigger audience, built-in audience with a 500 and some members. How many members do we have here?
Oh, we have over 5,000 members, 2,000 active members and growing. And so the WCTV Foundation, you're a member of that. So that's something, you're a board member.
Yes, yeah, I'm vice president. I'm the
Wow.
guy in charge of selling them tickets. So every Saturday morning,
Yes.
yeah.
So that's something you're involved with the community on a regular basis.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
You know, you're very famous for the parade. I think you're the one. You know, if anybody has not officially met you, you're the guy with the camera interviewing and kind of taping the guests.
Trying to get the kids, all those kids down there, yeah, because then hopefully they can go back and they can watch themselves on the show or the YouTube channel. Now WCTV's got a YouTube channel. So just like this is on, my mom and dad and my brother and sister are in Florida right now for the week. So we were talking last night, texting back and forth. All of a sudden he says, yeah, Dad and I just watched Lori's number 5, Janet Brown. Yeah.
Gene Brown,
Gene
yes.
Brown, Gene Brown. He said, did you know that Gene Brown is married to Dwayne, who is the brother of Aunt Wanda, my aunt? I said, no way, small
What a
world.
small world.
Yeah. So yeah, but just I love WCTV. I love the Suprema Senior Center. When I got involved with here, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't get to come to near as many events as I would like to because there's a lot of stuff. You know, I have like we got canceled last week. I get a call from the courts or whatever. Hey, can you? And I say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. This can wait. That cannot. So, but yeah, bingo, and now my brother. He tries to come too every Friday. He loved the auction last year.
Oh, that's awesome.
He
Another
loved
one's
that.
coming up in a
Right,
couple weeks.
December 6th is the next one. So he's saving his bingo bucks. We get all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we have a blast. This is, I mean, you're going to have to expand the facility. So it's like an accordion. You should have had this place built with a center that can go and go out. Yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy.
Yeah, we're sitting here in just a little end of the cafe, and you can look out. You might hear a little hum in the background because we have a full cafe of people eating breakfast and
it's
just
a
having
fantastic
fun.
place. Yeah.
Thanks.
And my first interaction was with Nancy Likens.
Yes.
When we were doing the CCW classes, we started out at the library. And we'd have 50, 60, 70 people. Well, then we kind of outgrew the library. And somebody said, ask Nancy. Nancy was like, well, yeah, not a problem, at the senior center downtown, right?
Okay.
The Center for Older Adults,
yes.
right? And so we had to hold, I think, 3 of ours down there before the Leatherman says, oh my gosh, just please come use, right beside the Galaxy. We own both of these hotels. You can just use it, no charge, do your thing, because they all went through the class and they said, it's wonderful. Just do it. You can keep your prices way down and use our hotel for free. And we did that for years and years and years, up until COVID. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
Community
thank you, Nancy
connections.
Likens, for letting us use the senior
Yes.
center as we were growing and expanding our classes, sometimes 250 people in a class.
Yes. And Nancy
Yeah.
Likens, she was our director for many years until she retired in the end of September of 2020.
Yeah.
So, and going back to the senior center downtown,
With the basketball court
Yes,
up top.
yes.
You still have a basketball court with the
the
senior
old
center.
Masonic Temple, yes. So, and we moved here, of course, in 2013, and it's just been wonderful with the connections.
11
And
years.
WCTV is right across the hall from
Oh,
us.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anybody watching that's never been here, come see us.
Yeah.
And you've already kind of talked about how the senior center is important to you, which is great because that's kind of an ending question. And this is we have about 2 minutes left, so this is a story about you. Anything you'd like to share to close with?
If my family stays here, and they all probably will, my younger twin sisters, I think Jan is probably a member. Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin is my nephew. Jan is eligible to be a member, so I know she's a member here. Hard to believe. And I hope that my grandkids, if they grow up, have families here, and the brand new Suprema Senior Center then, for them, will be here, and they just have all this to look forward to. What a great community, what great people. I love it here. This is
That's
fantastic.
wonderful. And how
Yeah.
many grandkids do you have?
I have 3 grandkids.
3, that's
Maddox and
wonderful.
Scarlett are down in Columbus, and then my oldest granddaughter is over in Doylestown, and Brianne and Dan are her mother and father. So yeah, right over in Doylestown too.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I've met sweet Nora. She's amazing. So you have
She
great
is
kids.
insane.
That's awesome.
She is insane. Nora's insane. Yeah.
That's great. Well, they're lucky to have you and Lori as grandparents, and the wonderful legacy you are leaving, your kids. And again, thank you for your service and being an important part of the Suprema Senior Center. It's been really exciting to get to interview you today. So
Thank you for putting up with my story. Look at
Oh,
my
my
props I
goodness.
got.
Yeah.
Jim Dull. Why I oughta.
No, thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching. If you live in Wadsworth and would like to tell your story, we would love to interview you. So our program is Aging Well in Wadsworth. This is your life. We'd love to hear your story. Just contact me, Lori Wilkinson, and thank you again for watching.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.